Hi, and welcome to another edition of Ask Mark Anything. And I'm back here in France again, desperately trying to improve my French. I think it's coming along slowly. Some of the locals seem to be actually understanding the odd word that I use here and there. Anyway, I'll keep this one brief because I know the first Ask Mark Anything went on and on. It was like a sort of YouTube version of War and Peace. But I will get straight to it. Now, if I haven't answered your question, it doesn't mean it wasn't very good. It might mean it was more of an admin-y sort of question that would do better with our admin department, or it might have been a bit too long or involved for the interest of other people watching this. Okay, so the first question is from Adriana. Do you do any hypnosis to help children with anxiety, especially at night? Yes, we have got a whole section on hypnosis downloads purely for children, some of which deal with childhood anxiety and nighttime issues as well, such as nightmares and so forth. So check out our audios on the children's section of hypnosisdownloads.com. But if you have any other suggestions, please get in touch, and we'll certainly look at producing new sessions. Okay, next question is from Malcolm, and Malcolm asks, he describes, first of all, I've gone from being a reasonably confident solo backpacker in my 20s to becoming very anxious about being away from home, to the point it's stopping me doing things I'd like to do. It centers on sleeping away from home and getting into a downward spiral from there. The poor sleep has cascaded into anxiety over lots of control of environmental conditions. Bad beds, poor temperature control, noised, claustrophobia in sealed hotel rooms, duvets that are too hot, pillows that are too large, etc. I'm now retired and would like to do more travel. So that's more of a description than a question, but presumably the question embedded in that is, what can I suggest? And certainly we've got an away from home audio session that you could try, Malcolm, on the site. We've got plenty of sleep better sessions as well that you could use whilst being away. I would also use self-hypnosis to envisage a whole trip as well. I remember seeing a client, she came to see me, and she had been also quite an avid traveler in her youth, and she had bit by bit lost her confidence in traveling. And she had an upcoming family trip with another family, so she was taking her kids away with another family who were taking their kids away all together. And she was very anxious about this, and they were going to be staying in all kinds of different places. Now, what I did with her was I re-evoked hypnotically the confidence and the joie de vivre and the relaxed manner and attitude and the spirit of adventure and the openness to experience that she'd had in her youth. I hypnotically re-evoked those feelings, and I had her project those feelings into the future. I also did something rather unusual. I used something called the rewind technique on the future imagining of this upcoming trip. So the rewind technique is usually used for phobias and for post-traumatic stress disorder, but we can use it for imagined future events as well sometimes, to take the edge out of them, the anxiety from them. And that's what I did with her. But do check out our sessions online, Malcolm, because we've got so many, and you may well find exactly what you're looking for. Okay, the next question is from Al, and Al says, your sessions are incredible. Thank you, Al. I didn't pay Al to say that. But I'm daunted by how many apply to me. How should I choose which session to do next? Similarly, can you recommend a long-term strategy? I plan to do 2 sessions a week for the next year. Is there a recommended order of operation? Thanks for your wonderful work. Well, thank you, Al, too. And uh, we do have our intelligent advisor, AI advisor, on the site. We also, if you search journeys, there are hypnotic journeys which suggest which ones to use next in order. So certainly you could check that out as well. As far as what was your expression, recommended order of operation, I always suggest that people deal with the worst first. So whatever's the most pressing issue, whatever issue affects your life the most day to day, I would work on that first. Because when you deal with a problem that's quite pressing, quite impactful of your life on a day-to-day level, then once you're freed of that problem, then you've freed up a load of spare capacity in your mind to do all kinds of other things in life. But until that problem's sorted out, that spare capacity is diminished. So the worst first, what would you most like to change? What's your priority, and work with that first chronologically. So that would be my recommendation. Okay, next we have got a question from Yummy, and Yummy asks, can hypnotherapy improve dissociative symptoms? And if so, is it done through only suggestion therapy? And certainly some people can have a sort of dissociative sense, that this could be as a result of trauma. It could be that they have a right hemispheric deficit in the brain, and the left hemisphere tends to make us feel more abstracted. People who've had the injury to the right hemisphere will often report not understanding everything, but feeling separate from it and disassociated. The right hemisphere has to do with overarching context, or and seeing the bigger picture and so forth. The left hemisphere modus operandi is more to do with focusing down on detail. So if you do that, if you're just focused on detail, you can suddenly start to feel as if you're disassociated from reality. It can be a protective mechanism, a protective part of your mind trying to protect you from trauma. Often it may be that the left hemisphere is being overworked at the expense of the right hemisphere, which is the overseer of context. Okay, so the ways to engage the right hemisphere might be spending more time in nature, purposely enjoying art for art's sake, or reading poetry and that kind of thing. We can actually get back in touch with the right hemisphere and therefore feel more associated again. We might use hypnosis again to revivify times when you felt more connected to reality around you. You didn't feel that there was a sort of invisible screen perhaps between you and other people or other situations. So we might use hypnosis in that way. As far as is it just done by suggestive therapy, we experiencing things on a multisensory level. For example, massage or forest bathing, going into the forest and hearing the sounds in the forest, and the sensations of touch in the forest, and the smells of the forest, and even the tastes in the air of the forest, and so forth, can really help people feel embodied and alive. And we can do that hypnotically, as well as actually asking people to go and forest bathe, go into a forest. So yes, we can certainly use hypnosis for when people feel abstracted from reality, separate from reality, and disassociated in that way. As I say, it can be a right hemispheric deficit in some people. Okay, and let's go to the last question that I'll deal with for this session, and it's from Charlotte. And Charlotte asks, the more I start to exercise, the more I do anything else but exercise, and I feel so good when I have exercised. I don't get this stubborn resistance. Don't understand. I don't understand this stubborn resistance to what I want. And it's a curious thing, isn't it? What we want is in the long term is often not what we want in the short term. So, what I want in the long term might be to be slim and healthy and fit. What I want in the short term might be that sugary donut right in front of me. So we have these two systems of priority within us. And one powerful way to exert self-control is to remind oneself of one's principles in the moment. So it was found that self-affirmations, every day and everywhere I'm getting better and better, and I'm a wonderful person, all the kinds of things, were found to make people with low self-esteem feel worse about themselves. They were good for people with high self-esteem or healthy self-esteem, but not good for people with low self-esteem, because they kind of knew that they were lying to themselves, and that it wasn't helping them. In fact, they would feel worse afterwards. But affirmations aren't useless, okay, because they were found to be good for exerting willpower. So, for example, if I decided I was going to exercise, but I find my will weakening, it could be something on TV or whatever excuse that I come up with. Charlotte says you can come up with any excuse. Then I might say to myself, I am the sort of person for whom self-discipline is important, as an affirmation. And repeat that a few times. And that seems to actually be quite effective. Another effective strategy for exercise specifically isn't so much focusing on how good you'll feel when you've done it. There was some research done on this. It was found that people who focused on how bad they'd feel if they didn't exercise later on were actually more compelled to go exercise. I found that really interesting. So if I'm sitting at home and I think I've decided previously that I was going to exercise, and I find my willpower, I start making excuses to myself, and I can then imagine what I'll feel like if later on tonight, or when I go to bed, if I've just sat around all day, or if I haven't run up those steps, or if I haven't worked out or done resistance training that day, or whatever. And that seems to be a powerful motivator. We have got motivation, exercise motivation audio sessions on hypnosis, in hypnosis downloads as well, which you could check out. But yes, that is a really good way of going about it. Sort of focuses two things: focus on your principles. What is important to you? I am the sort of person for whom personal health and responsibility and integrity is important. And using that sort of self-affirmation, or whatever the one you choose is, at times of weakness, when that little voice in your ear starts coming up with excuses, and B, I realize I didn't say A, and B, remembering to focus on what it would be like if you don't exercise, and that stodgy feeling of have sat around all day, and that kind of thing. That seems to get you going. But you can couple that with remembering how good you'll feel later on as well, when you've done that. So those, along with self-hypnotic techniques, might be really powerful. Actually, I will say one last question that I missed, and I'm sorry that I missed this, Alana. And it's kind of connected to this as well. So Alana asks, "Hi Mark, I brought the Breaking Sugar Addiction program and did it each night for a week. I haven't responded the way I was hoping. Is this because of my subconscious resistance, or should I be doing a different program for breaking the sugar addiction cycle?" Well, I doubt it's subconscious resistance, Alana. I mean, I'd like to say that, because I can sort of say that the download's absolutely perfect and it's you, not the download. But it might be that the download just isn't right for you, or that you haven't given it enough time yet. Certainly people do have success with it, but you could swap it for another one, maybe impulse control, something like that. And of course, if you've been having a lot of sugar, then there will be a tapering period. There will be some kind of withdrawal. I'd like to know whether there's been any change, any difference? You say you haven't responded in the way you wanted to, so I wonder if you've cut down at all. That would be interesting to know. But certainly you could try the impulse control session, which may be the issue here, and it may be that something works for you. What people often find is that they do try a few downloads before they find or they discover the one that gives them that sort of epiphany that makes them feel really powerful and really helps them. So sometimes we do appreciate that there is that sort of testing sort of phase. But yes, I would try the impulse control one. But before doing that, perhaps Alana, just try this, for a week or so more, and you might just find that it does start working really well for you, and you can get off the sugar. And also remembering how goddamn toxic sugar is for people. It's insulinemia. High insulin levels can be present up to 10 years before someone's blood sugar levels are obviously high, which is kind of shocking. So someone can think, oh, my blood sugar is okay, but their insulin levels can still be high. Now, insulin, as you know, it's responsible for growth in the body, so it may be implicated with all kinds of diseases where we're growing things that we don't want to be growing, and heart disease, or obviously diabetes, and even brain disorders like dementia and so forth. So there are lots and lots of really good reasons to get sugar levels lower, not just obesity issues, but all kinds of other health issues as well, including for the heart and autoimmune disorders and so forth. So remembering on a regular basis how important it is to keep your sugar levels down or low, your carbohydrate levels low, is very important. So, but yeah, maybe try the impulse control session as well. Okay, so thanks for your questions. Keep them rolling in, and don't be offended if I haven't got around to yours yet. And I will see you on another Ask Mark session, Ask Mark Anything session, okay, shortly. So thanks for watching.